Lowe again. With us today is an actress whose credits are both numerous and impressive. Among her claims to fame are the fact she appeared in TV's first miniseries, Rich Man, Poor Man, Book One, and was seen as Eric Menendez's attorney, Leslie Abramson, in Honor Thy Father and Mother. Please join us in giving a warm welcome to Susan Blakely.
Paris, for Camp de Loge, Fontainebleau, Everywhere. I did all the military shows. I worked in Wiesbaden in Germany with the Everly Brothers. I used to tour with them a lot. I was their MC comedian. This is in the early 60s. And the lady I'm going to talk to today is an Army brat. I hate to use that word, but you are an Army. Your father was a military.
Yes, he was an officer.
An officer.
He was a colonel, and that's the word they use.
Why is that? Why is that word?
I don't know. I think it just it was just a nickname.
Spoiled. It's
sort
kind
of
spoiled and all that. Is that?
Not really. No. I don't think. No. If anything, just the
American military
just the opposite.
children, American military children, they get everything free.
I don't think it came from that. I think it's just totally a slang for the military personnel themselves to call their kids brats.
Yes.
But I guarantee you, growing up in the Army is a lot, much stricter. As a matter of fact, my father was the strictest of all of the other fathers.
Your father's name seemed very familiar to me, Larry Blakely. I don't know why. Was he there in the 60s?
He was in Germany, but not in the 60s. It was the 50s.
In the 50s?
We were there in the 50s.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was near Wiesbaden.
Yes.
I was in Babenhausen and Darmstadt.
I worked in both, the officers and the NCO club. See, I wasn't with the USO. I entertained for the Special Service. I did all the bases for many, many years, and I had such great times. And
it was beautiful there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very pretty country.
So growing up, you have seen the world. You went to Korea. Tell me about growing up as a military.
Well, there are things that you miss, and there's things to this day that I really wish I'd had. Friends that I'd kept forever,
right?
Like everyone else, going to the same school,
right?
Knowing other kids, because I was unbelievably shy. I hadn't gone to nursery school or kindergarten. When I went into first grade, we were in Oklahoma, and I cried the whole first day. I was so shy. I just went in the bathroom and cried, and then I finally came out of my shell just a little bit, and we moved to Germany, and I did the same thing there. And then, of course, we moved different places in Germany, and I went to so many schools.
Your mother, Susan Blakely, is an art teacher. Is that correct?
Well, she was an artist. She taught some, I guess, as a substitute for a while. But she's an artist.
She is. Now she's a professional golfer, I think, isn't she, or something like that?
Yes,
Is she?
She golfs all the time.
Well.
And thank God, because, they're in their
your daddy
70s.
does too.
And I'm so happy that they have golf. It really keeps them young. They love it. I mean, I was on a trip, I was up in Vancouver. No, it was Montreal with my mom. She came to visit me. And she looked a little tired. This was maybe 8 years ago. And I was getting a little worried about her. I thought, oh my God, is she aging? I started to see some of that. And then I went to visit them that year, and we went to play golf. She's so competitive, she's so out there, that she loses any sign of age. So I'm very lucky.
Top model, got with the Ford agency. How did that all become with Susan Blakely? What happened?
How did I become a top model?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it's because of Cheryl Tiegs, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Cheryl Tiegs was a top model, a real top model.
Right.
Before me and during the same time we worked, but she'd been a model for a couple of years before, on the cover of Glamour every single month.
Right.
And she was such a top model, and we had a similar type of look.
Right.
Sybil Shepherd, we were all at the same time. And I think both Sybil and I owe our careers a lot to Cheryl Tiegs. And I was very lucky. I had gone to New York totally to act. But because I looked like Cheryl and could work right away in the print, and because I could do commercials, because I could act.
You did over 100 commercials.
Hundreds, yeah.
Bazaar, Cosmopolitan. I mean, on the covers, Susan Blakely, you were just the most beautiful young lady, new discovery.
With the right lighting and the right photographers, anybody is.
And also on the cover, you were the first one ever appeared on the cover of TV Guide. The very first, I think, first model.
Maybe. Yes.
You were.
Yeah.
They
did an article about the commercials, that I'd done some of the commercials.
You did a lot of commercials.
Yeah. I love doing them, actually.
Do you really? Your first, but you know something, you have something in common with me too. My favorite movie was Stallone's first Flatbush.
Lords of Flatbush, yeah.
The Lords of Flatbush with Sylvester Stallone.
And Henry Winkler.
And was that Perry King?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, what a movie.
And
he was good in
Paul
that.
Dubois also was in that, who was the
Yes.
musician.
That was a good movie, Susan.
It was pretty good. It was amazing, considering we really didn't have much of a script. I think Stallone wrote the best scenes in the movie because he was in all of those. And it's a director I'm still friends with to this day. Well, two directors, Marty Davidson and Stephen Verona. Did it, yeah.
3 Stallone movies, not 1 or 2. You've done 3, haven't
Yes,
you?
yes. As a matter of fact, I kind of forget about the other two because, well, one of them, he had a smaller part, and then I had a smaller part in one of his. One was Capone, where he
That's
played,
right.
Ben Gazzara was
Ben Gazzara.
Capone. And I just saw him last night, as a matter of fact, at a screening. And I was Ben Gazzara's girlfriend in that.
Right.
And then we did, he did Over the Top, and I had a small part of his wife who was dying from cancer.
Yes.
The arm wrestling movie.
Terry Inferno, that wonderful Inferno.
Towering, yeah,
Towering Inferno. Wonderful movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Paul
yeah.
Newman, Steve McQueen, one of my favorite actors. Paul
was
Newman,
so
Steve
lucky.
McQueen, Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire,
What
can
a
you
dramatic actor he
Yeah.
was in that film.
He was so good. And you
Was
know,
he nominated for?
Do you know that he was very insecure? Now, I have to tell you, this is a funny story. I literally, because I didn't grow up in the States,
Right.
hadn't seen
Where
movies,
did you
hadn't
grow
seen
up? Where-
TV.
Where did you?
Well,
was
you know,
born in?
well,
where?
Germany.
Germany.
Born
You
in
were
Germany, yeah.
Ah, good enough.
Yeah.
You speak German?
A little, just
Okay,
very
okay,
little.
good.
But because of that traveling, I really didn't see movies, and I literally had not seen a Fred Astaire movie. I mean, I had barely seen any TV, because we didn't have a TV.
Right.
So during the shooting of that, Fred Astaire he would come up to me, he would talk to me about, did you think I was very good in that? I don't know, I don't think I was very good. You know, this really isn't my forte. And I just thought he was such a natural actor, and I knew, of course, who he was.
Right.
But I literally had not seen anything. And halfway through the shooting, there was, they had some big, what do you call it? Not a repertory, well, all of his shows, what do you
Right.
call it? They had him all, one Saturday, they showed all of his shows. And I was just, I said, my mouth open. And then when I went to, on Monday on the set, I was like, and I couldn't even talk to him. I was so shy.
What a wonderful actor, though.
Yeah.
Dramatic actor.
Oh, yeah. And as I say, so modest.
Tell me about Paul Newman and Steve McQueen. Oh, yeah.
I had such a crush on Paul Newman.
But
Thank
your,
God
your love scenes were with.
Oh, Richard Chamberlain.
That's
well, I
right.
really didn't have love scenes at all because
Well,
we were in the
yeah,
outs during
yeah.
it. But Richard Chamberlain was such a doll. But I have to say, Paul Newman was my biggest crush, and thank God he was married to Joanne Woodward because she was also one of my favorite actresses.
Right, she was mine too.
But I mean, I met him one day on the set. Bill Holden was my dad. Can you imagine this? It
Right.
was so amazing. And so Bill says one day, he says, Susie, I want you to, meet Paul. I literally started to shake all over. I said, I can't talk now. I'm preparing, which I really wasn't preparing at all. But I had just such a major crush. It was amazing. I could work in the same scenes with him.
You did a movie with a wonderful actor, French actor, Alain Delon.
Alain
Tell me
Delon,
about
yes.
that gorgeous guy.
Oh, gorgeous,
I mean,
you're
that
right.
is a gorgeous
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. Naturally.
And French along with it.
Yes, French along with it.
With his mentality of class.
Yes, but I have to tell you something, mentioning him, I worked with a much sexier French actor
that?
who's a bigger star, who is gorgeous and funny. It may not be in your notes. The director who did Cousin Cousine did a film called 7 Sundays. That was the
Right.
American title. And Thierry Lhermitte is a big French actor.
Okay.
Gorgeous dark hair, blue eyes. Very, it was wonderful to work with him because he's so curious
7
about the
Sundays?
world and other
7
people.
Sundays,
Yeah.
was it? You've done a lot of French and Italian movies too. You've
No,
done,
not really. I haven't done
no?
any Italian.
No?
No. And just those two.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Didn't you work with Molly Ringo?
She was in that. That was the one she was
that.
in.
And Rod
I'm
Steiger.
trying to think how you say it in French. Yes, he was in it. In French, I forget
I
how to
love
say
Molly
it.
Ringo. Why does
Yeah.
she live in Europe now? She lives in
I
Europe.
think she's back here now.
Is she back?
But she was there then. Yeah.
She got away from America. And Richard Chamberlain, I have a lot of
Oh,
respect
Richard
for him.
Chamberlain, me too.
He left Dr. Kildare, went to RADA, studied
Mm-hmm.
acting, and
He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he is how my husband and I met.
you're married to.
Steve Jaffe. And Steve was he was doing PR with actors in those days. Now he does corporate PR, but Richard Chamberlain was one of his clients
Right.
when I was doing Towering Inferno with him. So Steve wanted to meet me, and he asked Richard if he could come to the set, and that's how we met. So he has a warm spot in my heart always.
I love him. I think Steve
Yeah.
McQueen was just wonderful.
Steve McQueen,
I
too.
met
He
him
was
in
a
New York when he
character.
first came to Hollywood, you know. Before he ever came to Hollywood in the Village. He used to hang around the Village a lot.
Such a natural actor.
Susan Blakely, if you weren't an actress, what would you have done? I mean, you know, what would you have done? If just as a model, but if you weren't an
Yeah.
actress, what,
You know, one
what
of the
would you
reasons,
like to do?
to be honest, one of the reasons I'm still an actress is whenever I've asked myself that question, I don't know. I really don't know. I think that, you know, life kind of takes care of itself. I would see myself as a teacher with little kids. I love kids, and I often thought that's what I'd be doing. I studied art also, and thought that I would be an art teacher.
Do you go around the schools helping little children at all, like the other actresses?
I
do?
work with, I've worked with kids that have problems,
That's
different
good.
things, yeah.
The girl who does that she reads to the people. What is her name? She's from, I love her. She's a great actress too. And she
Give
was
me a
in,
hint.
can't think of her name.
But that's a good thing to do. I would love doing something like that.
Studied acting
A lot.
with
Yeah.
who did you
Really good teachers. I was so
Because
lucky.
you're a model in New York.
Yeah. I
While
studied
you were
right
a model
away.
in New York, did you study while you were as a
Sandy
model?
Meisner was my first
best,
teacher.
the best.
Yeah, really
So,
good.
as a
Tough.
model, you were studying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
go
And he
ahead.
was very tough on me because he didn't want me to model. He thought I should quit modeling and just act. But I thought modeling would be a fluke that I would just be doing for a few months and I should keep doing it, you know. But I also got to stay with Lee Strasberg and Warren Robertson, who was a wonderful teacher in New York, and just lots of people in between.
It's the best move, I think, for an actress, a young actress or a young model, to go to New York first before you come to Hollywood
I think so too.
and
yeah.
study there and let them discover you.
I think
and
for
bring you.
any actor,
Any
young
actor.
actor, I agree.
I agree.
I think that even the reason that I got the picture that was reported to the commissioner was partly because I was from New York. I mean, first of all, I could do a New York accent because of it, but I think that you have a certain more status when you come out of New York.
Yes.
I mean, it's silly, but you do.
Yes.
You know, but I think New York actors certainly in those days, maybe more of them took their work more seriously rather than wanting to be famous, you know.
Rich Man, Poor Man, a 12 hours miniseries. That was a long miniseries. I think it's one of the very first, wasn't it?
It was one of the first, and it probably was the best of the
The
first.
one of
There
the
may have
best.
been, yeah, it certainly was the most famous and
Yes.
so forth.
And you played Julie in that.
It was a great role.
And
I was
you
very
got
lucky.
a Golden Globe Award
Yeah.
for it. You were wonderful.
Thank
Best dramatic actress.
Thank you.
And got 2 awards for Emmys and nominations.
I was so lucky. It was the show. I mean, you couldn't miss with, you know, the good dialogue on that. And I had a wonderful director, David Green,
Right.
who did most of it. He didn't do the whole thing, but he was my favorite director ever. And I think
Right.
everybody's. He did the first 4 hours, which certainly were the best because it came directly from the book. My part was actually 4 different women in the book, which got a little complicated. I mean, I actually couldn't study the book.
I see. What's the joy for Susan Blakely of acting?
The joy for me,
Yeah.
and it's always been since I was a kid, and I told you I didn't grow up with TV or movies really. I love to read, and I still love to read. And as a kid, I always put myself, as you do if you're a reader, in all the parts that you identify with. And I think that what's the most fun for me is to really get to live out the story of someone else's life and to get to have the joys and the sorrows of that person and not really have to suffer the consequences. It's like you say, what else would I do? Well, I get to do everything else. I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, you know, I'm a teacher, I'm a
So
mother.
when you get the script, you really start reading it and then work on it. Is that how Susan does?
Sure. You know what you do is you read it, you let it, it's like tea, you let it seep. You know, you as you're doing your other things in life, you start to feel how that character how they would be in that particular circumstances.
Right.
And just reading a script over and over and over again, you find a lot that you've missed the first few times.
Television or movies? What is Susan Blakely's favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Well, to be honest, I always wanted to do features. In fact, I kind of hurt my TV career for periods of time by turning
You've done
down
so
a lot
many
of stuff.
You've done a lot of television.
TV movies, yeah, I do a lot.
A lot of movies.
that.
Matter of fact, you've got several coming out now.
Well,
What
I've
are they?
got one TV movie coming out,
Yes.
Gut Feeling. I mean, Gut Feeling is the feature, I'm sorry, and
Right.
the TV movie is Sin of Silence for NBC. But you know, I was going to say now, to be honest, there's so much good work in TV that I think that I would, even though I would never want to carry a lead in a series, that's just too much work, I think. But a lot of these shows that are on now, like ER and The Practice and Chicago Hope, there are so many, Law and Order, Homicide, there's some really fabulous TV. I think some of the best work, especially for a woman over 40, is in TV.
Right, yeah, you're right. Right. You were wonderful in the Menendez.
Oh, thanks. That was a great character.
Do you know, I was one of the
Oh,
witnesses.
yes, that's right.
I was on that.
That's
I was
right.
one of the witnesses.
Well,
I went to with Mamie Van Doren for dinner at the Hilton, and the father was underneath the table playing toesies with her, and so he was carrying on.
He was
Mamie
strange
Van Doren,
man.
yeah, playing that role. Tough role.
Leslie Abramson.
Yes,
Well,
Leslie Abramson.
do you want to do something? When I say how much time, sometimes you have no time. I had no time on that. I think that they had some trouble finding someone, and they hired me, and I literally had a day of which we spent the whole day trying to find a wig to look like Leslie Abramson, and then we went right to work. So I basically, I'd seen some film, of course, on TV of her, and I played a lot of attitude. I think she's a very bright woman, and she thinks she's brighter than everybody.
She does.
So she has a lot of attitude, So I just kind of, laid back and did her attitude.
Yes, you were wonderful.
And it was fun.
In that.
It was fun.
Playing and Jill Claiborne, wonderful actress.
Playing the mom.
I love her.
I do too.
And James Ferrantino.
Again,
I think he did. First thing I've ever seen him was with Shelley Winters on Broadway. He played one of the Beach Boys, Christopher Jones, and him. Betty Davis took the role, and then Shelley came out. What was it? The Night of the Iguana.
Oh, Night of the Iguana, right.
James Ferrantino was one of the Beach Boys in that. He's a good actor.
Very good, yeah. Used to be married to Michelle Lee, who
You
directed
and
me in
Michelle have a
something,
lot in common. Tell me about Michelle and you.
Well, she directed me. She wrote, produced, starred in, and directed. Well, she co-wrote, so I had to get the credits straight. Another wonderful writer, Don Mueller, wrote it with her. But a thing called they changed the name. It was The Genius. It was changed to Color Me Perfect.
Color Me Perfect.
It's been on the last year. And,
she's a wonderful.
on Lifetime.
I love her, Michelle Lee.
I do too.
I saw her on Broadway in a show, a musical. She was just, I just love her.
She's so full of energy. I mean, how anyone could do what she did, because for a woman, to get up as early as you have to get up for makeup and hair, I mean, she literally didn't sleep to do the directing. I mean, it's such a chore, and to be the producer. But she has the most amazing energy of anyone I've ever known. I'm envious of her.
Patty Duke.
Oh, I love Patty. So
Yes.
talented.
What makes her tick, really? I mean, I know she's just child actress too. She's been around.
She's had some heavy chemical problems, which
Yeah.
I think it's in a way it's good that someone as famous as she is had them, because so many people grew up with her on the Patty Duke show, that they get to see that she's talked so honestly about her problems.
Right.
And, in fact, I got her involved with the Council for Understanding Mental Illness. And basically, there are so many things that people have chemical imbalances, and she definitely has that. And so she takes Librium, and she's fine. But it's actually, it affected her life enormously before. When I worked with her, she was fine.
What has been the hardest for? Because you're such a beautiful lady. You're married. You seem very happy. How long have you been married now?
I'm so lucky.
Yes.
Knock on wood,
But
22
that's good.
years.
I like that you see, you appreciate what you have
Oh,
in life.
do I ever.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people just don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's where Steve and I are both lucky. We both appreciate each other. Not that we don't get, like everybody.
Susan Blakely, spiritual then. I mean spiritual, like not just spiritual meditation. The whole thing is the house.
I've done, I
because you look so good.
Well, I'm very healthy now, and I had health problems for years. That was my biggest challenge, actually.
Really?
I actually didn't work a lot for over 10 years.
Is that why? We missed you.
I
see?
just had, what they called chronic fatigue syndrome. It was an autoimmune sort of thing.
Right.
And now that I'm healthy, everyone says to me how good I look. And I swear, I feel so different. I was always surprised that people couldn't see it when I didn't feel well. You don't look bad with that particular thing.
Right.
But I'll tell you something, you feel like, can't people see that your energy,
Yeah.
it was so hard to just act like I was a normal person even within work, that I really didn't enjoy working, because it just made me feel bad,
Where would you like to see yourself, say, 10 years from now, Susan?
I'd like to be as happy as I am now. I really
Any
would.
children, Susan?
I don't have children. I have a new little puppy who's the love of my life, Sophie Rose, my little miniature schnauzer, who is my child, both of ours. But I don't have my own children. My
So
friends
marriage-
really share them.
So marriage has been the biggest change for Susan Blakely's life, finding your husband in your life.
He is my.
He's one of your
my
biggest
soulmate.
changes.
He's everything. I don't know what I would do without Steve. I'm one of those people that I tend to worry already.
So you really depend upon him.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that kind of dangerous sometimes? Or
Well,
what
it
do you
is
think?
because sometimes I find myself thinking, I've always been an independent person. What would
Right.
I do if Steve went before me? And
Uh-huh.
even if I'm 80 or 90 by then, I can't imagine life without Steve, because he's so much fun, and he's the easiest person to be with. He's very bright and very honest.
Uh-huh.
Well, and it's just when you have that kind of, he's definitely my best friend.
The hardest for Susan, the very hardest in your life. What has been the hardest for you?
My health. The
That's-
health was,
that's
I
the
mean, I
most-
talk about
that
it
is
this way,
it.
but it was a daily challenge and I never knew if I was ever going to feel better. I literally hurt like a bad flu, on and off for 10 years. It was a challenge like you can't imagine.
So you're happy back at work now.
Oh, I'm so
Keeps you-
grateful to be healthy. I have something that most people don't have. Every day that I feel good and I'm doing things that I've done
Right.
for the last 10 years, I go, oh my God, I feel so good. Isn't this great? Everybody feels like this,
You did a movie with Graydon Clark. I did a film for him. He was a director. You and I got a lot of things
Yeah.
in common, it seems.
Starting back to
Graydon
Germany.
Clark, yeah. Graydon Clark, when I first came from Germany, from Vietnam, Graydon Clark called me and he did a movie called, Shampoo was first. He didn't do that, but he did a movie called Black Shampoo.
Oh,
And he directed it. And I was a role in that I did. And you did a film for Graydon Clark
Actually,
with
I've done two.
E2?
A2, yeah. You're the one in
Russian
Russia.
Roulette?
Russian Roulette was in Russia,
Tell me.
in St. Petersburg,
Yes.
and E.G. Marshall was in it, and Barry Bostwick and myself.
Good actor.
Very, very good actors, both of them. And it was an interesting script, but it didn't come out as a feature. It went to cable. It was very low
Yes,
budget.
yes.
And there were some problems, I think, I felt with the photography in it.
So TV, would you like to direct TV, Susan? 'Cause
I used to think I wanted to direct. I don't
think
know
you
that I would want to now.
No?
I see how much work it is. The director I just worked with up in Vancouver on Sin of Silence is a wonderful director named Joe Scanlon. And he'd done a lot of the Falcon Crest, he does a lot of TV
Right.
movies. As good as any director I've worked with, and I've worked with some really good ones.
Right.
Delbert Mann, I've worked with 3 times Delbert Mann, the Oscar winner from
Right.
Marty. I worked with George Schaefer, who is my dear George Schaefer passed away this year. A wonderful, wonderful director. Joe Sargent, David Green. I've worked with really good
So
directors.
you've learned a lot from these directors in your craft.
Yeah, I have.
Who was your very, very favorite? Do you have a very favorite that you worked with?
Well, my favorite, because he's also one of my best friends, is Delbert Mann. But I would have to say, directing-wise, once they're that good as Joe Sargent is,
Right.
and I love David Green when I worked with him. Once they're that good,
Yeah.
they're as good as they get.
Well, Anthony Hopkins, great actor. Tell me about him.
yeah.
You worked with him.
That was the one George Schaefer directed, called The Bunker.
The Bunker.
He played Hitler.
Hitler.
And it was
That's right.
I think it was a
I've
Hallmark.
seen that. That was a great one.
It was really good.
That
I think it was 3 hours, which is probably like Francis Farmer, why you don't see it a lot.
Yeah. Francis Farmer. Ugh. That's...
But Anthony Hopkins was amazing. I had wondered what I would do to feel the love that I played Eva Braun, that she needed to feel for Hitler. And I would try and read about the period, and I would just break down sobbing because it's one of the darkest periods of our history, and it was too much to even imagine. So I pretty much used the fact that I don't think that she knew much of what was going on.
Right.
She wasn't very bright, I didn't feel. I felt she was a bit of a groupie. And she was so thrilled to be marrying Hitler in the bunker finally, that I tried to use it, I would be in love with Anthony Hopkins. Because who couldn't be in love with Anthony Hopkins?
Absolutely.
But I'll tell you, the very first day at the hotel, we were at a beautiful hotel in Paris. We shot it in Paris. And I see him across the lobby from the back, and I'm going, oh my God, that's Hitler. He was such a consummate actor that he had the body language, and it was always like he was Hitler. But I also could use that it was Anthony Hopkins.
It's a wonderful actor, Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, yeah.
Susan Blakely is currently starring in an NBC Sin of Silence, is it?
It'll be out in September.
It's well, what other things do you have going? That was is Henry Morgan in that, or is it the other one?
Oh no, Harry Morgan was in The Incidents.
Incidents.
Which were 2 of my favorite
That's
things.
it.
That's one of the one that Joe Sargent did one, and Delbert Mann.
Walter
and Walter
Matthau?
Matthau. I played Walter Matthau's daughter-in-law. And one was called The Incident, the first one, and the second was called The Incident in Baltimore. And they took place, one took place during the war, and he loses his son, who's my husband, during it. And then the second one, and he's a lawyer, like a small-town lawyer. And the second one, we moved to Baltimore in the early 50s, or late, I guess it was late, early 50s.
Do you enjoy playing mothers?
Love playing mothers.
You do?
Yeah, because I'm not a mother myself. As a matter of fact, one of the thrills that I got just now was to work with this little girl in Sin of Silence. She was my daughter in both of the incidents. And we've maintained our friendship for the last 9 years, is how long it's been. And now she's 18. And I play her mother in the Sin of Silence.
You remind me of a young Lee Grant. I'm saying young Lee Grant.
Well, that's funny because she plays the mother in Frances Farmer.
Oh, is she? Yes, yes, yes.
And that is, she was brilliant in that. Absolutely brilliant. She actually got a much, we developed this story, and so somebody came to me with the autobiography, and we developed it with this producer, and so we developed, on purpose, we developed the mother's part to be as good as it is, because, and I think it's much better than the feature that they did with Jessica Lange. I forget who played the mother. I think it was Kim Stanley.
Kim Stanley, one of the greatest actresses ever. She's living now.
But they didn't get to do much with that.
See, Kim Stanley, she taught acting here for a while in Hollywood, and then she left, and I think she's in Santa Fe right now.
Well, I'm sure she couldn't take it.
Why do all the great actresses disappear like that?
Well, you know, like look what happened with Frances Farmer. She couldn't take this town. She didn't, and I almost couldn't take it, to be honest.
Really, Susan?
Oh, yeah. There were times
What was going to happen to you, Susan?
Well, I think what you have to realize is you have to come to a place in your life where you don't take anything personally in this business.
Right.
And in a way, it worked against me that I had success without, I didn't have to go on auditions. I didn't have time to learn about the business part of the business, of show business. And you must learn it. I tell all young actors, please learn show business. Don't just go to teachers who teach you the craft of acting, as they do in New York in particular, because I came out here and immediately was working. So, you know, that's not easy.
Yeah. What is a real actor, Susan? Tell me, what is, because I asked that question to Shelley Winters once, and I just want to know, because you've studied with the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to me,
what is to you
a real actor is someone like Robert Duvall, Paul Newman. You know, there's so many actors who care about the work, not about becoming famous. And that's where I think you run into the problems where people like Kim Stanley or Frances Farmer, they can't take it because they become part of a machinery that's about the fame.
Yes.
And you can't be yourself always, you know.
Do you think Kim Stanley was that way, really?
I think she probably had problems with the system. Otherwise, so did Carol Baker at one point.
Oh, I love
Another
Carol.
brilliant actress.
Oh, she's great. She was in Rome.
Baby
Now
doll.
she lives in Palm Springs now. I love Carol Baker.
Yeah. Well, there have been so many actors, and I can't think of them offhand, but who, and I think it's the reason a lot of actors don't choose to live in LA.
Do you like actors, Susan?
Oh, I love actors.
You do?
Let me tell you something.
So a lot of actors don't like actors.
I know, but for the few that are phony and upstagers and selfish and so forth, the rest of them are people who are willing to bare their soul. They're interesting. They are. I'm not a natural performer in life. I'm very shy in life.
Yes.
But I have friends who are so entertaining. To be out with them for an evening, I feel like I should be paying them. You know, it's always interesting, and no matter what people say. And of course, I love being anywhere in the country where you meet people that are out of the business who are interesting and real people and good-hearted people. But rarely will you find people as entertaining and fun as actors.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
They really are. Yeah. What is one of your favorite films you have done? Do you have a favorite film?
For different reasons, different ones. Frances Farmer because of that part, but it probably wasn't my favorite working experience. So a lot of them, I would have to say, the incidents, both of those incidents were incredible experiences, as was The Bunker, and I loved working with Michelle Lee.
I think she's great, and I love The Bunker. I thought The Bunker was great. Rod Steiger, isn't it?
Oh, no, that was Anthony.
Anthony Hopkins. But Rod Steiger, you worked with.